Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, D3 Topics Gamer, here to share with you a little kind of internal debate video that I kind of wanted to share. I do apologize for this topic being like maybe a couple to a few weeks too late, but I've just been really busy over the course of the month of July. And I just kind of want to get in on the whole debate as for what is a better film between Man of Steel from Zack Snyder and Superman coming from James Gunn. Now, if you happen to enjoy this little kind of internal debate video that I'm doing, I'd really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, make sure you smash the subscribe button so you can keep track of me and all the videos I have planned for the rest of the year. So, Man of Steel versus Superman. Both of these films, very different. They're trying to achieve two very different things. Which one is better? Now, right out of the gate, I'll just give you my initial answer. If we're talking purely by filmmaking perspectives, I do think even by today's standards, I do think that Man of Steel is a better film, a better overall film. But I will admit that I probably enjoyed watching Superman more. When Man of Steel first came out, I did see it in IMAX first, and then I saw it one extra time in theaters. And with Superman, I saw it once in IMAX, and I saw it two more times in theaters. So I think that's where I stand. I think I just had a lot more fun with Superman than I did with Man of Steel. But I do think that they were both trying to achieve two very different things. And I think that the advantage that Superman, in my opinion, has over Man of Steel is that we are working with a Superman that is already built and established in a world with other heroes. And I think that's the mistake that Man of Steel went, and why I think that eventually failed. I think that with the success of the Dark Knight trilogy, I think there was an idea that Warner Brothers wanted to try to Nolanize Superman. And I think that really over the course of Man of Steel, I think that they could have pulled that off. I think telling the idea of what it would be like if Superman actually existed in the real world is a very interesting idea. That would have brought up a lot of debate amongst a lot of people. And at the time, that movie was very controversial for a number of things. I mean, it had some pretty graphic imaging, and it had some really deep discussions in the film. But I think that all really fell apart once you started adding other heroes. I mean, the very following next film, they threw in Batman, Wonder Woman, and had a Doomsday in there with Lex Luthor. I mean, it was all, they were trying to fast track to the Justice League. So, in a sense, I think that the MCU success is really what kind of unintentionally ruined the Snyder universe. I don't really think that they could have continued down that path. I think if we had gotten 3 solo Superman films with Henry Cavill and kept it kind of grounded and used maybe some obscure villains and not go for some grand villains, I really think we could have had a pretty spectacular trilogy that tells a story of Superman interacting with a supposed real world, like if he was in our real world, and I think that could have worked out. But again, once you started adding other heroes, I don't think that was possible. I think the reason why something like the technically Nolan's Batman trilogy works so much is that it felt always grounded and he didn't have to interact with other heroes. I really think that's the path that they could have gone, but that's not what Warner Bros. Want. They wanted their own Justice League. They wanted their own event-style movie. But then if you do that, you're kind of going down the comic book route, and you're going against the kind of atmosphere that you're setting up. I don't really think that atmosphere ever could have worked once you started throwing other heroes. And I think that's why it ended up kind of breaking down. They were just trying to do too much, too fast. They wanted to get it out without coming up with a very solid story. And it went against the very core that the very first Man of Steel film was trying to set up. It went for all the goofiness. It went straight comic book. And that was something that Marvel was already proven that they had mastered to do. And so they were trying to play catch up, and overall it ended up failing. With Superman, having him already established in a world with other heroes really allows you to have a lot more freedom. And because of that, I had a lot more fun with Superman. Though I do think it has a number of flaws that kind of hold it back from being a truly spectacular film, but I did have a lot more fun with it. When it comes to comparing the two, being a more fun movie than Man of Steel, I would say that if I was a parent, personally, I mean, this probably wouldn't work for you guys, but I would feel a lot more comfortable if I had kids taking my child to go see Superman. Until they got to the age of maybe 12 or 13, I would not even dare show my child Man of Steel. I do not think that is this is just me. I do not think that is a film for kids. Even though it has Superman in there, there's some pretty dark and serious things that happen in Man of Steel. Now personally, that works for me personally because I was 20 at the time, but I would not have shown my child that. And therefore, I really think that if they stay on the path of wanting to expand with more heroes, as they've already set plans for that, there is very much a much wider potential for that to have a much longer lifespan than what the Snyderverse was trying to do. They started with one type of tone, and it gradually changed into something that it never should have been in the first place. And I think that's ultimately a key reason for its own downfall. I don't think that is very much the case with what we have now. I do think that with how the tone that they are setting for this Superman film and following films moving forward, I think there is a much more stable beginning that has potential to expand. And that's a good thing. Now again, as I stated before, you can have a scenario where you like one film more in the form of Man of Steel, but have a lot more fun with another film. Just to kind of jump to other franchises real quick, a key example of this is with the James Bond franchise. I openly recognize that probably Skyfall is probably the best made James Bond film ever made. But for me personally, I have a lot more fun and have seen more times GoldenEye. I really enjoy watching GoldenEye more, despite the fact that Skyfall is a better film. And it's the same thing between Man of Steel and Superman. And I do think you can like both. They have different tones. They're trying to do two different things. I just think Man of Steel, there was real potential to do something really incredible. But again, because they wanted to just make an event film and go straight comic book, it sadly stands alone. And it's kind of funny that even after all those DCEU films, Man of Steel, in my opinion, is still the best Snyderverse film movie in that era. And I do hope that when Supergirl comes out, I believe it's supposed to come out next year, that they continue off that tone. There's definitely a lot of potential, and hopefully they keep that fun faction there. I mean, trust me, there were some controversial moments that I absolutely hated in Superman, but I could see that it probably will work better moving forward with the tone that they have already set. So overall, I really like both. I've seen Man of Steel multiple times. I own Man of Steel on Blu-ray. When Superman comes out, I plan to own that and see it many times. I do really like both, but heck, for different reasons. So now that you guys know my thoughts, I would really like to know which of these two do you like more, or do you like them both? I really like to get in a debate with you guys in the comments down below if you want. But again, so that is the end of my little kind of internal debate video between Man of Steel and Superman as for which one I think is better. But again, if you guys have any more ideas for future videos you'd like me to see, please let me know what you would like to see in the comments down below. And like always, I want to thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I'll see you guys next time.